Hi, Rich Wainwright here from your Business Builder System. Today I've got Hiten here from the electric car scheme, and well, rather than me steal Hiten's thunder, I'm going to go and pass straight over to Hiten to explain what this fabulous scheme is.
Hey Rich, thanks for having me on today. Looking forward to telling you a little bit more about the electric car scheme. So I thought maybe a little brief intro into who we are, why we exist, and then run you through some slides on the scheme and how we work. Hopefully everyone will find this very beneficial, not only on how you can access electric vehicles, but also beneficial on your pocket as well. Which in the end, the goal is we all want discounts, don't we? So let's figure out how we can give you access to them.
Sure.
So yeah, the electric car scheme. The business started around a couple of years ago now, and one of the main reasons when the benefit in kind tax around electric vehicles was zero, we decided, well, actually, there isn't a really sufficient way in what an employer can offer this to employees, but more noticeable around not just the administration of it was risk. Right? What happens to the cars? What happens if the car goes back? Who's liable for this payment and that payment? So we spent a lot of time speaking to customers or potential customers in asking, well, what's important to you?
Yeah.
Right? If this was to work, if this was to be implemented tomorrow, what does good look like for you? And how can we make that work? So fast forward 2 years, we've put together a really successful business that puts the employee and employer first. And foremost, we are an employee benefit.
Yeah.
And that's really, really key here. There's lots of companies out there who are leasing companies and want to get you into a nice car. That's great. But actually, it's the whole service piece. You know, how can we make life easy for HR and for their employees? And really light touch. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Business owners and HR teams have lots and lots of difficult things to deal with. I don't want to add to that plate.
Yeah.
So if we can make your lives easy, that's exactly what we're here to achieve.
Brilliant.
So yeah, let me introduce a little bit more around how we work and how the scheme works. Cool. So noticeably, when we went out to figure out, what are the most important parts of this scheme and what can differentiate us between us and what's available on the market today, we found that lots of businesses or people trying to do what we're doing would stick to specific types of brands, specific types of cars. Ultimately, what this did was create stock issues, availability issues, ultimately becoming very binary in its approach. What we said to ourselves is, well, look, there's an open market here. There's availability across lots of different types of leasing companies, lenders, for example. And all businesses are different. People have different requirements. So what we said to ourselves is, how can we access that whole market? So we are, I guess, brand agnostic. We don't have a love for one particular brand. If you want a Tesla, we'll get you a Tesla. If you want a Fiat, we'll get you a Fiat.
Sure.
But actually, because we can access all the lowest prices, widest range, that then increases availability, right? We can go to a wider range of people to access cars. So if a car particularly that you're looking for in this spec is going to take 9 months to come, we could say to you, actually, if you lowered the spec and tweaked this, we could get that in 4 months. Now, car manufacturing, car availability is an industry problem. But because of our access to a whole market, there are certain vehicles we may be potentially able to get faster, which is great for us. But there's a game-changing product we do have and recently launched, which I will touch on slightly later on in this video, but something that will really help people circumnavigate that issue around availability. Now, one of the key things here is, if you think about traditional leasing, we get a great lease price, but we have to add on insurance and maintenance, servicing, home charger, and it quickly racks up. Although that lease price looks fantastic, what we don't take into consideration is all the hidden costs around it. So what we said is to ourselves, look, let's put all of this into one, right? Car servicing, maintenance, home charger, early termination. charge points, all into one price. The benefit of doing all of this comes out of your gross, of your net deduction. So there's huge savings to be made. And depending on your tax bracket, you can look for anywhere between 30 and 60% on savings.
Wow.
Right? So huge savings to be made here.
Yeah.
So for the employee, choice is vast because, as I said, we're not, we are manufacturer agnostic. So as I said, we can go to any brand and figure out whatever permutation you pick, we'll just get the best price delivered to you. And all of our prices are the prices that are quoted. So dependent on your business, the age of your business, the size of your business, we will deliver the best model and pricing availability to you at that time.
I suppose with the extra sort of discount that you can bring to this through that way, then it would also give a vaster range for someone to go for, because they might be able to afford the Tesla now. Whereas
yes, absolutely.
Looking at the Fiat before, just using two wide examples there, but that might put them into a different type of car than they expected as well. Fantastic.
It's funny when you look at people when they say, I want this car, I want that car, and before it was completely out of reach, and they're like, oh, actually, I don't need to look at a Volkswagen or something cheaper. That same budget now, I can jump into something more expensive.
Wow.
But one of the things I would say that's a key differentiator, Rich, is although, yes, there are huge discounts on savings for particular cars, we do take into consideration, what do you, the employee, need? Like, is this the right car for you? So our account management team spend a lot of time asking the right questions around need, rather than actually, I can get you a cheap car. Because it's all well and good getting yourself into something that looks good on paper, but is it sufficient for you? Have you looked down the line? Is it something that's affordable?
Yeah.
So our team, as I said, because we're an employee benefit first, make sure they spend a lot of time hand-holding employees on the right process, making sure that we take your situation into consideration before making that final choice and before you commit to a 2, 3, 4 year lease.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So for the employers, now we've covered the employee side, but for the employers, it's just as important in terms of running the scheme. So because risk was one of those key issues, whenever someone hears the word risk, everyone gets shivers down their spine. Let's be honest, this is probably the most expensive benefit out there to date. I'm sure lots of organizations don't want to be lumbered with 50, 60K bills on, oh my God, what am I doing with this car if someone leaves? So we do provide market leading risk protection. And that's something I'll explain in a few more slides. Our straightforwarding reporting means that the scheme administrator of the scheme will have one central point of truth. So we've created a digital hub in which that scheme administrator logs in. They can download all of the itemized car orders. They can see which employees are on the scheme. They can look at national insurance, benefit in kind, VAT calculations. We even go as far as doing P11D and P46 notifications.
Okay.
We can't submit them, but we can assist in the right time, and when you do need to submit them, that you've got all the right information before sending it over to the HMRC.
Right.
And the best thing is it's net cost neutral to the employer, so zero. I'm sure that's what most employers want to hear. It doesn't cost them any money, for sure.
Oh, fabulous.
Cool. So if we head down, as I said a little bit earlier, everything's included: the car, the servicing, home charges, early termination protection. The only thing an employer needs to decide on is if they want insurance as part of this service.
Okay.
And the reason that the business decides that, it's everyone has it or no one has it. One of the main reasons behind this, it's essentially a fleet insurance.
Right.
So it's more there for peace of mind if an employer wants to say yes or no. But the benefit of adding it is that it takes out of your gross salary.
Yeah.
If the employer said, no, we're not choosing it, and they expect the employee to go off and do it, that's fine. It will come out of their net.
Yeah.
So they won't be making the maximum 40% saving that they could potentially from a gross. But no car can be delivered directly to an employee until there is comprehensive insurance shown anyway.
Okay.
So there is that peace of mind for the employer. They can have it on or they can have it off, but they decide that, not the employees. But things such as your servicing, home charges, that's all up to the employee. And 99% of the time, it's all taken out directly with the car. It just makes complete sense, given the fact, as I said, gross deduction.
You don't take out your gross, not your net.
Absolutely that. Now, I wanted to touch on the risk protection side a bit, because I think this is really important to understand where liabilities fall when it comes to the car itself.
Okay.
So if an employer decides to make an employee redundant or dismiss them within the first 6 months of this lease, the employer would face the penalty of, in this instance, 50% of the remaining lease payments. So John decides to leave after 3 months in a 36-month lease. There's 33 months left on the lease. 50% of those remaining lease payments would need to be paid by the business. Okay, scary, right? Sounds like a lot of money. Now, we as a business, as I said, because we are manufacturer agnostic, that same goes for, we don't buy cars, we're not a leasing business. We would never work with any leasing company who would ask for more than 50% of those lease payments. I think there's only a few around in the market who ask for more than that, but as I said, we wouldn't work with them. Now, how can we circumnavigate a lot more of this risk within those first 6 months? So we say to employers, look, you can set parameters like you would with any other benefit. You know, you must be here 6 months, you must have been here a year, if you're going on performance review, maybe not offer the benefit. All these different types of parameters that we can put in place, and it's pretty normal across employee benefits, right? You set a criteria in terms of who can and who cannot. Now, we take it one step further, and we've launched this product, what we call the electric carpool. Essentially, what happens is if you make someone redundant, so that you don't have any fees, we don't have any fees, the employee doesn't have any fees, we can go out to our network, which is around 300 businesses, about 18,000 employees, and say to them, look, someone has been made redundant. They have a Tesla. It's new without tags, done 1,000 miles. You pretty much will probably guarantee to get it in 3 weeks once we've done a bit of a cleanup on it. And you can get it at a discounted rate. Right. Let's be honest, I think 99% of people are going to snap that up pretty quickly.
Okay.
And it's great because essentially what that does is remove the risk from the business and means that we can just transfer it over to another company, another employee. But in actual instances, we can also, if the business wanted to, transfer it to an employee within their own organization, as long as there's a like-for-like profile.
Okay, so that 50% early termination fee could be avoided by someone else in their organization taking on the car, or it going back into your pool and someone from your pool taking it. Okay.
Absolutely. As long as it's not bright pink and got furry red seats, it's pretty much guaranteed we can get rid of that car to someone else.
Yeah, I suppose with that then the employer and employee could be having a bit of a conversation about the configuration of the car.
Correct, exactly. But we've successfully, since launching this, delivered 2 or 3 new cars directly to other businesses. But you get asked simple questions: were they a smoker? Were they not a smoker? Those types of things. So we take it seriously in terms of making sure that the employer is safeguarded as much as possible, because 6 months is a hefty piece of time. What we do find is, of course, but this is a great attracting and retention tool, right? So people tend to stick with you longer if they've made this commitment. So we very rarely see this happening, but we appreciate circumstances mean that an employee might get dismissed or redundancy based on the climate we're in today. So for the eventualities, we ensure we try to cover it as much as possible.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic.
Now, where does it fall on the employee? So the only time the employee would have early termination fees themselves is if they decided to resign within the first 6 months. So this leads me back onto the earlier conversation around hand-holding an employee through this journey.
Yeah.
If they feel they're not going to be there 6 months into taking out this lease, probably best not to do it, because obviously you're going to be lumbered with these large fees. If you lose your driving license, breach your lease terms or dismissal for cause, of course, that's like anything, break a contract, you will be liable. And then the last one, write off your car or it's stolen, that essentially is done through your insurance anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just to give you an idea of what is liable when it comes to the employee. Now, what do we take care of? Where do ECS stand in?
Yeah.
Now, anything after 6 months and 1 day, we take care of resignation, redundancy, or dismissal. So we will not ask for anything from the employee or the employer, and we will take on those costs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's really important, because for us as an organization, we want people to feel safe. So if there is, of course, the eventuality that any of these things happen, we'll take on those costs. No problem. We'll take the car back. We'll pay off the remaining 50% of those lease payments.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, something that's really unique to us is our family-friendly leave. So we go one step further. Look, having a baby, people going on maternity, paternity, or even adopting, which is a lot more widely accepted in terms of people doing now, and not maybe potentially telling their own businesses that they're doing these things. We have, for every eventuality within the family-friendly leave, taken care of. So what that essentially means is if your business offers you, let's say, 3 months enhanced paternity, maternity, or adoption, you will continue to pay your lease for those 3 months. As soon as you as an employee hit statutory pay, we take over.
Okay.
Continue using your car. We don't reset your lease. We don't increase your lease price. But we will take over until you return back to work on full-time pay.
Blimey.
We appreciate, let's be honest, if you're going on maternity, paternity, you're going to need your car.
Yeah.
There's a lot of running around trips, I'm sure, for nappies and foods, or late night trips to even, I remember my niece and nephew needed to go around at 12 o'clock in the evening in the car just to get to sleep. So look, we don't want to remove that from any newborn or any new parents. So we'll take on those costs until they return back to work. And obviously long-term sickness or death. So of course, worst case scenario, someone does pass away, we will take the car back, and obviously that can be from day one. We don't wait 6 months for that. And long-term sickness, the same goes there as well. That's from day one. If you have a pre-existing condition, that's absolutely fine as well. We don't discriminate against that. And that activates both from day one.
Wow.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time around the risk protection, because we appreciate, as I said earlier, employers just don't want to be burdened with all these costs. Because as I said, if you look at the electric car market, you're looking on average around 35, 40K for a car now, all the way up to 150,000. So, we want to ensure that we can safeguard everyone as best as possible.
That's fantastic.
Cool. So I think it's important to understand how we as an organization deliver the risk protection, how we make our money. One of the key differences about us is we're not opaque. We're fully transparent. We like to tell people what things cost, how we make money, because I think it's important for organizations to understand. But also that means we get off on the right foot and build a strong relationship from the beginning. So in order for us to deliver this risk protection, if you're a higher tax bracket earner, what you'll see in this example is this 3-year lease, 5,000 miles. The first 6 months of your lease tend to be higher. So you can see here, the gross deduction is 954. The estimated take home is 566. Well, actually, that seems a lot more expensive. No, the cost of your lease does not increase. We will still deliver the best price to you. But essentially what this means is that the payments after 6 months will drop, as you can see here, below the average monthly of that lease. So if you took your lease, you divided it by 36, it'd be £280.
Yeah.
What we're saying is that in the first 6 months, to ensure that we safeguard you and your business, it's slightly higher for
Yeah.
a higher tax bracket earner. And then your subsequent payments will drop below the average monthly.
Got you.
So it's great for you because it means that you have peace of mind that if anything does happen in those first 6 months, the risk has been taken care of.
Yeah.
Anything after 6 months and day one, you don't need to worry about it. If you are a lower tax bracket earner, those 6-month payments will be spread over 12, but you still get to keep the 6-month protection. It's just we spread them over 12.
I see.
Make sense?
Yeah, just there'll be a lower amount of tax from that person because
exactly
right. Yes,
correct. So we appreciate that maybe a lower tax bracket earner may not be able to have or pay all of that in the first 6 months, and we spread those over 12 instead to ensure a little bit more flexibility around lower paid
perfect
stuff. And how do we make money? So because foremost we are an employee benefit, we decided that we're not going to increase lease pricing. We want to get the employee the best price available at this current time. So as an organization, in order for our business to be net zero, whenever you sacrifice someone's salary, a business will make a national insurance saving. And in this scheme, there's also a reclaim on VAT, of which is 50% of the lease.
Okay.
So if we take this example into consideration, it's a 3-year lease. £450 will be deducted from the business, which they will pay the leasing company. They will then take the same equivalent amount from the gross of their employee. As a result, they have now made a saving of £68, a VAT reclaim of 57. If you remember earlier, I mentioned the benefit in kind tax, which is set to 2025 at 2%. We take that into consideration. The electric car scheme would take a fee of £116. Now that fee is then obviously taken directly from the business, which is, as I said, the equivalent of the reduction in NI and VAT minus your benefit in kind, and the employer will always remain net zero.
Wow.
You're not best off, you're not worse off, but your employee gets the best saving possible.
Yeah.
And you get to deliver a meaningful benefit, not only to the employee for saving, especially with the cost of living rising, petrol costs quite high now. This is a great way to show we care, especially around reducing carbon footprint, but also around ESG, but to really help attract and retain the best talent available now. I think it's fair to say employees are expecting a little bit more in terms of just high wages. Employees are also looking at what other things can my employer do for me today that can really help me stretch our savings, but also our take home as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really competitive market at the moment to attract talent and keep them. So yeah, I can see how this will be a very powerful addition to the portfolio of things that businesses do for their team.
Absolutely. And we 100% believe this to be a non-tick box benefit. This is definitely showing employees that, we the business care. We're willing to offer you something quite extensive, actually, if you think about it, which ultimately, if someone was to do this without their business, is extremely expensive. So to have this available to you at, let's be honest, quite hefty discounts is quite a feat for sure.
Fantastic.
Cool. So last slide, I promise. But something that I think is really, really a game changer for us. And as if you remember earlier on in our conversation, Rich, I touched upon the whole issue around delivering cars at the moment. This is an industry problem. This is something that everyone is facing at the moment. Yes, of course, we are all of market service, so we have slightly better availability because we can go to more potential vendors to say, can you get me this car? Can you get me that car? But there is still an issue. It's still a problem. And some people on average will have to wait anywhere between 3 and 12 months for a particular car, because the housing market, it's on a great road, and it's a great brand at a great price, it's going to go snap as soon as it goes on offer, right? Same with cars at the moment.
Yeah.
If it's available, people will shift from one car to another just to get it quickly.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've introduced what we call our subscription service, unique to us, only ones in the UK to be offering a service such as this. What this essentially can do for you is, if your car is going to take 9 months, 12 months to get delivered, what we can do is put a stopgap in place. We can get you into an electric car through a few of the partners that we work with. They are stock vehicles, can range anywhere between 2019 up to current date, whereby you can jump into one of these electric cars, still through salary sacrifice, and use this, essentially, if we want to call it, courtesy car, until your lease is delivered. And as soon as yours is delivered, you can hand this car back and off you go in your brand new shiny electric car.
Wow.
But essentially what this does means you don't have to wait. We can get you into these cars pretty quickly. And they will have turnaround times of anywhere between a few weeks all the way to a couple of months based on stock availability. But we work with pretty much most of the largest ones in the country and in Europe. So stock availability can range anywhere from a Tesla all the way down to your Zoes. So we have quite an extensive amount of different cars available for you to access.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that is the electric car scheme in a nutshell. And yeah, we as a business want to ensure that we can get you the best prices, the best availability across any car. And just to reiterate, what we don't want to do is only cater for certain people within the organization. Because we can go all of market, it means that we can access people on lower salaries, all to those on higher salaries as well. So savings can be had across your wider force, where traditionally car schemes tend to favor those in higher salary bands. But we found now that we can offer this out to a much larger audience within the organization.
I suppose as well as more manufacturers are getting into the electric market, we're getting a more variety of sizes, models, makes, and prices to that as well.
Absolutely.
Whereas 2-3 years ago, there wasn't that many electric cars to go at, and the ones that were expensive.
Exactly that. And let's be honest, the electric car market is still quite highly priced. It's supply and demand. There isn't a huge amount. Right now, you're probably looking around 20-25 manufacturers, around 65, 70 models. But it's growing. We can pretty much access most, if not all, if it's being made and it's there to be delivered, we can access it. So yeah, it's a growing market. The infrastructure in the UK is also now being extended, and we're doing our bit to ensure that we hit those green goals, not only for ourselves but also for organizations out there as well.
So I can hear some of my business owner clients and friends going, Rich, ask the question for us directors who pay ourselves dividends. How would it work for an owner who generally doesn't, or pays the minimum amount of PAYE into their tax brackets? I'm guessing this can still work because it would have to be paid over a taxable amount, wouldn't it? So
yeah,
you guys have the calculations for that, or
it's more around if this tends to work best if you're a PAYE benefit. Because if you think about an owner operator paying themselves salary and dividends, they're probably paying themselves slightly less in the salary. For this to be a meaningful benefit, you'd have to significantly increase the amount you're paying yourself. So, there's certain reasons owner operators would go around doing this type of model. We would always say to seek advice directly from your own accountant. We're not financial advisors. I would never claim to be. So it's very much, we could make this work. What we have found this to be is if you have, few employees all the way up to thousands of employees, this is where it really becomes a meaningful benefit, because you're offering out to everyone else, as well as maybe yourself if you fit within the parameters, but traditionally we find this to be more for your employees, with owner operators tending to go directly through maybe their own business, or speaking directly to their own accountants.
Yeah. Yep. I know I would get that question if I didn't ask it.
No, of course, no problem at all. No problem at all.
So essentially, an absolutely amazing benefit that will cost a business and business owners, won't cost them a penny. The overhead in terms of their accountant or HR person running this scheme is minimal because of your portal and the all the information you provide there.
Correct.
So it's just I guess it's just a case of getting this set up and starting an initial conversation. So how would someone engage with you, with the electric car company? What do I need to be putting at the bottom of this video and such? How would a client of mine get going with this?
Absolutely. Best thing is to get directly in contact with myself. Anyone who's interested, by all means, set up a call, we'll have a conversation, further explore a little bit more around your business. I always like to find out more about the companies we work with, and then really to understand if this is something that cannot work for you. So if they want to reach out to me by email, by phone, that's absolutely fine, Rich.
Whatever medium you're watching this in, I'll have put a link underneath that I will have squared away after this. So we'll have a link in the footer for this.
Amazing.
For sure. Have I missed any questions? I think you've covered everything really well there.
I have a tendency to talk a lot, Rich. So I'm hoping I've answered everything to the best of my ECS knowledge. But I think with all of these things, there'll be lots and lots of other questions people will have as it evolves. But as I said, they'll have my details. Feel free to jump on a call with me, and I'll be more than happy to walk you through it and explain how we can save your employees money, save the business money, and also make sure that we attract and retain the best talent for you.
Brilliant. No, thank you very much for your time on that. That's really clear and seems like a bit of a no-brainer. Sometimes
a win-win is what we say here.
Sometimes being a business owner doesn't have the perk you're looking for, but no, like you say, what an absolute brilliant scheme for business owners to introduce their team members into. So thank you for your time on this.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Rich. Really enjoyed it.